So after almost 5 years, Apple has finally updated the Beats Studio Pros. Now personally, I like how these headphones sound and they have a really good microphone on them for phone calls. But I feel that it is very hard to justify the Beats Studio Pros for a pair of premium ANC headphones. But today, we're going to see how the Beats Studio Pros stack up to both the Sony 1000XM5s and the Sony 1000XM4s. Regarding pricing, the Beats Studio Pro retail for $350, making them a pair of premium ANC headphones, whereas the Sony 1000XM5s retail for $400 and the Sony 1000XM4s retail for $350. But these two headphones like to go on sale on a regular basis now. Overall, the XM4s are my preferred headphones here because of their comfort, and the XM5s are the best option here if you want headphones that will block out the absolute most amount of noise. Nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these headphones up, they will be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a big head approved hat. Link down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the included cases. Both of Sony's headphones come included with hard shell cases, which will protect your headphones if you cram them into your backpack or carry-on. But personally, I do prefer the XM4's case here because their case is way smaller, whereas the XM5's case is very burdensome to travel with. But then there are the Beats Studio Pro, and these come included with a soft shell case, and I feel that this is unacceptable for a pair of premium ANC headphones. Because who knows, they can get crushed if you plan on traveling a lot with them. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. Regarding fit, this is a big problem for the Beats Studio Pro. First off, the Beats Studio Pros have a lot of clamping force to them, making them not big head approved. Whereas both of Sony's headphones are big head approved because they have less clamping force, giving them a looser and more comfortable fit. But another issue with the Beats Studio Pro is the lack of range of motion on their ear cups. These ear cups apply a little more pressure on the front of your ear than on the back, making them feel a little unnatural when they're on your head. Whereas with both of Sony's headphones, their ear cups have a lot more range of motion, so their ear cups apply an even amount of pressure around your ears, making them feel more natural. But then there is the padding underneath their headband. The Studio Pros have very little padding underneath their headband, so they can create a hotspot on the top of your head. Now, the XM5s also have very little padding underneath their headband, and hotspots can also be an issue for these headphones. But then there are the XM4s, and hotspots aren't an issue for this headband because this headband is properly padded. But then there are the earpads themselves. Now, the earpads on the Beats are very shallow, so even if you have a normal size ears like me, these earpads will press down on your ears, which can get uncomfortable after a while. Now, the earpads on the XM5s are also a little shallow, but these are slightly more spacious because they have a slightly larger diameter to them. But finally, there are the Sony 1000XM4s, which have the most spacious earpads here because they aren't nearly as shallow. So these ear cups will have no problem accommodating most ear types, and even if you have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot, they should have you covered. So overall, comfort-wise, the Sony 1000XM4s are easily the winner here. They have a way less clamping force than the Beats, their ear cups pivot a lot more, hotspots aren't an issue, and their earpads are a lot more spacious. But now let's talk about tech specs. Regarding battery life, the Beats Studio Pros have an advertised battery life of 24 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, and if you were to use them with their active noise cancellation turned off, they can go for as long as 40 hours. Whereas with both of Sony's headphones, they have an advertised battery life of 30 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, and they can also go for 40 hours with their active noise cancellation turned off. Now, when it comes to charging these headphones, all of these headphones charge via a USB-C port as they should, and all of these headphones have fast charging. Now, with the Beats Studio Pros, if you were to plug them in for 10 minutes from a dead battery, they're going to get you 4 hours of playback time. Whereas with the Sony 1000XM4s, if you were to plug them in for 10 minutes from a dead battery, they're going to get you 5 hours of playback time. But then there are the Sony 1000XM5s, and if you were to plug these in for 3 minutes, they're going to get you 3 hours of playback time. But the really cool thing about the Beats Studio Pros is that you can also use their USB-C port as a wired connection. So you can plug these headphones directly into either your phone or laptop, and you can charge these headphones while they play music. Whereas with both of Sony's headphones, their USB-C ports are strictly used for charging. But still, all three of these headphones have a 3.5mm audio jack, and they all still come included with an audio cable. And this is actually a very big deal for the Beats Studio Pros, because I was worried that these headphones were not going to have an audio jack and they weren't going to come included with an audio cable so that you can use them with a wired connection. But the key difference here is that with both of Sony's headphones, you can use them passively, as in they don't need to be powered on if you want to use them with a wired connection. Whereas with the Beats Studio Pros, even if you want to use these with a wired connection, they have to have a charge in them. But regardless, I do like that with the Beats Studio Pros, you can use either the USB-C port or the audio jack as a wired connection. Now, when it comes to wireless connectivity, both of Sony's headphones can be simultaneously connected to any two Bluetooth devices at the same time, which is really good if you're a power user with devices from different ecosystems, because you can easily hot swap from one device to another regardless of that device's ecosystem. Now, the Beats Studio Pros are also a good option if you're a power user with devices from different ecosystems, because you can still easily swap from one device to another, but these headphones cannot be simultaneously connected to two devices at the same time. Anytime that you want to switch from one device to another with the Beats, you are going to have to go into your device's Bluetooth menu and call for the Beats to switch over. But the important thing is that at least you don't have to put these headphones into pairing mode every single time you want to go from one device to another. But when it comes to overall performance, all of these headphones have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But when it comes to audio codecs, the Beats Studio Pros only have support for SBC and AAC, which is very typical for Apple. Whereas with both of Sony's headphones, they both have support for SBC, AAC, and LDAC, which is Sony's own in-house high-res audio codec. Just keep in mind that if you do want to use LDAC, you do have to be an Android user, because iPhones top out at AAC. Also, if you do use LDAC, then these headphones will only be able to be connected to one device at a time. And also keep in mind, LDAC does take an additional toll on the battery life. But with all of that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Now, both of Sony's headphones are people pleasers, as in if you like a neutral sound signature or if you like a bass heavy sound signature, both of these headphones should have you covered. And with both of these headphones, you can adjust their EQ to your liking because they both have an adjustable EQ. However, the XM5s do have a slightly better instrument separation to them than the XM4s, so they sound a little more open and they have a little more detail. But the XM4s have a little more bass to them. Personally, I think more people are going to prefer the XM4's sound over the XM5's because they have a little more physicality or kick in their bass. But then there are the Beats Studio Pros. Now, these have a stock bass heavy sound signature, and unlike Sony's headphones, you can't adjust their EQ to your liking. However, I will admit that I enjoy how these headphones sound. The bass on these headphones resonates very cleanly, and it also has a decent amount of kick to it as well. But more importantly, the Beats Pros still have good instrument separation and good clarity to them. Granted, this is with spatial audio being turned on and set to fix. Overall, I like how the Beats Studio Pros sound, but these are strictly for people who like a bass heavy sound signature, whereas Sony's headphones are more versatile because their customizable EQ will allow you to change their sound signature depending on what you're listening to or if your taste changes. But when it comes to the media controls on these headphones, the Beats are using physical buttons, and some people just prefer physical buttons on their headphones. That's fine. But personally, I don't like the layout of the buttons on the Beats because I hate that you have to press these ear cups into your head. And plus, they're on the left side. Whereas with the Sonys, these are using touchpads. Now, these touchpads are very easy to use and they're very accurate, but sometimes there can be mistakes. But at least these touchpads are on the right ear cup and you don't have to jam them into the side of your head. But with both of Sony's headphones, they both have wear sensors, so they'll automatically pause your music when you take them off, and they'll start playing your music again when you put them back on. Now, personally, I don't really care for wear sensors on my headphones, so I usually just turn that feature off if I can. But I do want to point this out because the Beats Studio Pros don't have wear sensors, and wear sensors are starting to become very common on premium ANC headphones in 2023. And wear sensors are also starting to make their way to some mid-tier and even some upcoming entry-level ANC headphones. But something the Beats Studio Pros do have is they still have haze support if you use them with an iPhone, which can definitely be very helpful if you have your hands full, because this way you can ask Siri to control your media, or you can also ask Siri to place a call or send a text. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. Now, as of August 2023, the Sony 1000XM5s are currently the best ANC headphones to consider if you want to block out the absolute most amount of noise, whereas the ANC on the Sony 1000XM4s is also really good. But then there's the active noise cancellation on the Beat Studio Pros, which performs more similarly to a pair of mid-tier or entry-level ANC headphones. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. So like you have just seen, both the Sony 1000XM4s and Sony 1000XM5s are able to block out way more noise than the Beat Studio Pro. It's not even close. Now the ANC on the Beat Studio Pro is useful on, let's say, a bus ride home or in a slightly chatty office. But if you plan on traveling a lot with your headphones, or if you just want to block out a lot of noise, then you are going to be better off with either of Sony's headphones. But the Sony 1000XM5s are currently the king of active noise cancellation as of August 2023, because they managed to block out more road noise, more jet engine noise, and more chatter than the Sony 1000XM4s. But then there's the ambient mode on these headphones. Now the Beat Studio Pros have an ambient mode, which is something the Studio 3s didn't have, and the ambient mode on these headphones is good enough to get the job done. But it doesn't sound as natural as the ambient mode found on these other two headphones, and with Sony's headphones you can adjust their ambient mode to your liking. But also, both of Sony's headphones have a speak to chat feature, which works a little like this. Hello there. So this is Speak to Chat. Basically, when I start talking, these headphones will automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can talk to someone without having to touch the headphones themselves. Now, these headphones will stay in this state for a preset determined amount of time, which you can adjust through their app, or you can always cancel Speak to Chat by double tapping on the touchpad like this. But personally, I'm not a really big fan of Speak to Chat because it's very easy to accidentally activate it. If you sing along to your music, that can activate it. If you start laughing, that can activate it. If you talk to yourself very quietly, that can also activate it. And on rare occasion, outside noises can also activate it. So that's why I just don't use this feature. Personally, I prefer to use Quick Attention because it's a lot more intentional, and Quick Attention can be found on both the XM5s and the XM4s. And basically, when you fully cover their touchpad, they're going to lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you like this. And then when you let go, everything goes back to normal again. And personally, I really like this feature because it's very useful, especially if you're flying, because if somebody comes up to you and they ask you a quick question, you can give them a quick response without having to remove the headphones themselves. And this is a feature that's just straight out missing on the Beat Studio Pro. Now, I do feel that Quick Attention can be implemented better, because I do feel that having to fully cover the touchpad the whole time that you're using Quick Attention does look and feel awkward. But but at least the Sonys do have quick attention, which is very useful. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, the Sony 1000XM4s are okay to take phone calls with while in a quiet room. But the microphone on the Sony 1000XM5s sounds much better than the microphone found on the 1000XM4s. This microphone does a much better job of focusing on my voice. And the microphone on the Beat Studio Pros also sounds really good while in a quiet room. But what's really impressive is how this microphone deals with noise pollution. Because right now, the Beat Studio Pros are doing a really good job of reducing all of this road noise. Because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we switch back over to the Beat Studio Pros, it is severely reduced. And the Sony 1000XM5s also do a very impressive job of reducing all of this road noise. Whereas with the Sony 1000XM4s, you can hear a lot of road noise in the background. And the same thing can be said when it comes to blocking out chatter. With the Sony 1000XM4s, you can hear a decent amount of chatter in the background. Whereas with the Sony 1000XM5s, these are doing an impressive job of blocking out all of this chatter. Because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter. But if we were to switch back over to the Sony 1000XM5s, it is severely reduced. And the Beat Studio Pros also do a really good job of reducing all of this chatter. So overall, both the Beat Studio Pros and the Sony 1000XM5s have really good sounding microphones on them if you want to take phone calls with them while in a quiet room. But they both do a really good job of reducing noise pollution if you're out and about. But with all that being said, I will admit that the Beat Studio Pros have a decent sounding microphone on them for phone calls, and I like how they sound. But for me, it is very hard to justify them over other premium ANC headphones, like either the Sony 1000XM5s or the Sony 1000XM4s, because first off, their active noise cancellation doesn't compare to the ANC on either of these two headphones, and their ambient mode isn't as robust as the ambient mode on Sony's headphones. But also, the Beat Studio Pros are way less comfortable than these other two Sony headphones, and comfort is the most important thing to consider when buying headphones. If your headphones don't fit well, you're not going to want to wear them. But also, the Beat Studio Pros don't come included with a hard shell case, which is a standard for premium ANC headphones now. Now, the Sony 1000XM5s are the best option here if you want to block out the absolute most amount of noise. But personally, I still prefer the Sony 1000XM4s because they're more comfortable and their smaller case makes it easier to travel with these headphones. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.